Question period is underway. Let's listen in.
I quote, "We need to work together to get the police working together in all provinces. A calendar or timeline has to be set. I'm not talking weeks, I'm talking days. It's time something was done." Who said this? Quebec Premier François Legault. So, Mr. Speaker, was Mr. Legault right to say this? Or is he disqualified from participating in future federal provincial meetings? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. We take this crisis seriously. It's unacceptable that so many Canadians are facing shortages and layoffs. We know that we must make every effort to peacefully resolve this worrisome situation, and that is exactly what we intend to do. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
It's an unacceptable situation. He should do something about it. After 2 weeks of inaction and weakness, CN Rail and Via Rail have announced that they are laying off nearly 1,500 workers because of these non-stop blockades across Canada. 1,500 men and women who have to look their families in the eye and tell them that they were laid off. They still have bills to pay. So can the Prime Minister tell them on what day will the blockades come down?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. We're working extremely hard, doing absolutely everything we can to resolve these situations peacefully. We know that an overly aggressive approach like the one proposed by the Leader of the Official Opposition will only lead to more challenges down the road. But I do agree with the Leader of the Opposition on one thing. This situation is unacceptable in the fact that it's hitting Canadians so hard, facing layoffs, facing shortages. That's why we are doing everything we can to resolve this peacefully. We will exhaust every effort to resolve this peacefully.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, this Prime Minister still refuses to take any kind of action. Now, these radical activists have erected these blockades because they want to shut down our resource center. Protesters 4,000 kilometers away want to cancel billions of dollars worth of resource projects, one supported by the elected council of the Wet'suwet'en and even the British Columbia NDP government. This is not a way to grow the economy. The Prime Minister is showing incredible weakness in refusing to do anything about this. So once again, can he tell people who are just laid off on what day they can get back to work?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Continuing to do everything we can to resolve this situation peacefully. That is what Canadians expect of their government. We understand how difficult this is for so many people who are facing shortages, who are facing layoffs right now, but we know we need to resolve this in a way that won't create more problems months from now over the coming years as well. That is why we are taking every step necessarily to resolve this constructively, peacefully, and rapidly, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of the Opposition.
So, Mr. Speaker, they're not doing everything. They could actually be moving to take these blockades down. The reality is that the Prime Minister is trying to make a link between reconciliation and a group of radical protesters who have nothing to do with the First Nations affected by this decision. These are groups whose self-professed goals are to shut down all development in our energy sector. They are anti-free market, and they are ignoring the science of these approvals. So, once again, will the Prime Minister take action and tell these out-of-work Canadians on what day they can return to work?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, we understand this is an unacceptable situation. Canadians are hurting. Canadians are facing layoffs. This is something we need to resolve, and we need to resolve it not just for today and tomorrow. We need to resolve it for the weeks and months to come. Unfortunately, the approach that the Leader of the Opposition is proposing would not ensure jobs and stability for Canadians in the future. That's why we on this side of the aisle are focused on resolving it peacefully. That's what we will do.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Only to this Prime Minister standing up for the rule of law somehow aggressive behavior from a government. It's the bare minimum that Canadians expect from their elected officials. Now, yesterday there were suggestions that some of the blockades might come down if the RCMP withdrew from certain sites. Now, when asked about this, the minister said that they were considering that. So why is the government considering directing the RCMP not to uphold the law, but ruling out asking them to enforce the rule of law?
Speaker, Canadians understand that this is a very serious situation, one that holds the path of reconciliation and partnerships on one hand, and the other side.
I hate to interrupt the Honourable Prime Minister, but I'm having a hard time hearing his answer.
Speaker.
I think we're ready. Please proceed.
And of course, this is a situation facing many Canadians who are dealing with shortages, or dealing with challenges to their own disrupted lives, but also possible layoffs. That's why we are focused on real issues that will matter to Canadians, a real solution forward, not rhetorical games or playing short-term politics as the members of the opposition continue to do.